Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It is your Caped Crusader Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with our new friend, Ryan McCarthy. We're here breaking down Tamashi, his indie manga, and everything in between. Welcome to the stream, Ryan. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing pretty all right. There was a lot of driving this morning, but luckily I took a nap, got a shower, done, and I'm wearing my Looney Tunes. So
Hey, that is an impressive button-up shirt. I didn't have to drive too much. I did a considerable amount of yard work, though. But, you know, it feels good at the end of the day to get things like cleaned up and trimmed up, so I'm pretty happy about that. Speaking of getting things caught up, we were talking earlier about your series, and you were telling me how you're trying to get caught up on Global Comics with your upload. And, you have an impressive amount of episodes for this series. Can you tell everyone, how many you have currently up to date?
Well, officially this is the definitive Tamashi experience, the books. Tamashi volumes, I tend to work on them a chapter a month. Then I upload them online to my personal website, Tapastic and Webtoon. And then what happened? And then since then, there's been other platforms. When there's basically, once there's enough chapters, they get compiled into a volume, and that's what gets released. And currently, because someone I had discovered Global Comics, I think you interviewed her. She was the author to Division 5.
Okay. Rose?
Yeah. All right. See, I didn't know what she referred to herself as because I know her in real life. We come from the same hometown.
Oh, small world. That's what we refer to, online. So that I wanted to kind of keep respectively to her online username.
Yes. So I was like, shoot, I don't want to say her. Rose, but we're both from the same hometown. I know she lives in Japan, but we're both from Massachusetts.
That's really cool.
There. But I found that out through her, so I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And so right now, Tamashi is available on Global Comics. At some point, it was like a subscription thing, but I made a decision that once Tamashi is fully caught up, that's when I'll switch to having this, because I think that's how that website works. You have to subscribe to it. But my whole definitive plan was always I wanted to be like, you can catch up with it. Like the first 3 chapters will be free, and the first 3 newest chapters will be free to read. Okay. That way, anyone who's maybe caught up through Tapastic and Webtoon can easily jump over to Global, because Global Comics gets it high definition.
Okay.
Like I upload the actual images that are used for the physical release.
And you said how many chapters again?
There's currently 48.
48. So how many chapters to a volume?
Well, that's also not counting the side chapters.
Mm-hmm.
Every 5 chapters, I make a side chapter where we get to see a mini story of a character we've met along the journey. Which actually, so here's the thing. Okay, my story is called Tamashi. It's about a girl named Tamashi. She suddenly wakes up in a new world called the Ancient Land. She doesn't know how she got there, and now she needs to go on a big journey through the Ancient Land to maybe find her way home. She discovers she's the child of the moon. She makes friends with a monk boy named Suimo, child of fire. And in the Ancient Land, they have people called the children of the Ancient Land. They're children or people that are just born with some sort of special power based around something. And this only happens in the Ancient Land. And Tamashi is from our world. But she suddenly woke up here, almost like a dream or like a something or whatever, and it's just like supposedly a samurai called the Calm Warrior might know something, and they need to go to Raiden Village.
I really like how you started it too. I mean, she gets here, she has no idea what's really going on, and then right in the first few pages, she's attacked by some mythical looking creature, and she has no idea exactly what's going on. And she ends up killing like this creature's kid. I love it. Like in chapter 2, you end up finding out that its mother comes to get revenge.
Well, I think you're actually on chapter 1 yet. Still on chapter 1.
Oh,
yes,
chapter. Okay, all right.
Called a Yama Beast.
Yeah, Yama Beast. Yeah.
And the mother, which is officially called a Yama Mama, There's also a third thing called a Yama King. We've only seen one of those, but that's later down the line.
I got you. Yeah, so I really like that. Can you tell us a little bit more about this character? You know, your protagonist, like what she's like, her personality, and kind of how she ended up, you know, really developing into who she is today.
Well, the simple thing is a lot of Tamashi just has a lot of me in her. But one of her big defining traits is that she just does not like strangers. She is very peculiar. Like, she doesn't like new people.
Mm-hmm.
Hard, which is probably daunting because of this journey through the ancient lands. Like, well, toughen up right now. But there's also something peculiar about her that people don't mention that you later find out in Volume 6. I don't know if I want to really spoil that, but it's a big aspect of the series that it's a big metaphor for this. But she's very quiet, but she's very straightforward. She likes to sometimes be a bit too much of a know-it-all, which is hard to do when it's all like you're in a world where everything is new. You don't know nothing.
So can you give us a little bit about your history, though? Like, how did you come to, you know, start working on comics and manga? Like, what led you here?
Well, basically, ever since middle school, I think at one point, I basically decided I want to do cartoons. I want to make stuff. I like Ed, Edd n Eddy. I like a ton. I like Samurai Jack. I like Zatch Bell. Like, those are some of the bigger inspirations for me. And this is like, I want to make something like that, and like, you know, have all the fun that comes with that.
So what was some of the first things you started working on, or was Tamashi like your first start?
Tamashi is a very late idea. Like, I think if you go to my personal website and my portfolio, I have like 20 other cartoons like in the back. I think my Twitter headliner, like my Twitter banner, has a bunch of my characters. I have a huge roster of, it's called RM Productions, basically. That's like the official title I give stuff, but there's like 20 plus other series I have. It's just Tamashi has been getting the most consistent love. Before that, it was something called Random the Comic.
So can you tell us some of the stories about, you know, some of these adventures that you wrote before Tamashi?
Well, so the big one you'll actually find on my website is Random the Comic. It's about a dude named Joby Gamble. He lives in the town called Random, Florida, and every comic has an idiom, and that idiom is used in a very extraordinary way. And he lives in some house that's the setting. That's why first it was called Random, because it's about random stuff, but then it was retroactively changed to, or retconned into, no, they live in Random, Florida. He lives with his roommate, Smart T Guy. He's this funny dude with crazy green hair. They're just like, it's something you would see out of Newgrounds, pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, and so you have a huge roster of characters that you've created. What are some of the inspirations and influences you draw from when creating these characters?
I would say pretty much the cartoons that I like. Stuff like Ed, Edd n Eddy, like tons of stuff from Cartoon Network, tons of stuff from Nickelodeon. But number one is always Ed, Edd n Eddy, The Simpsons, Samurai Jack. Then in terms of manga, the thing that always wanted me to become a manga artist was One Piece. And I'm like fully caught up on One Piece. People always say, oh, it's hard to catch up on One Piece. And I was like, I've been reading One Piece since 4Kids was dubbing it. I read the manga. I read the manga right now. Volume 100 just came out in English. I have a shelf over off panel where you can see them.
Wow, yeah, that's impressive. That is impressive. So, what are some of your favorite manga out there? Like, what are some of your favorite books that you're reading outside of One Piece?
One Piece, Zatch Bell. That's the big one. When everyone's always like, I have people be like, "Oh, are you ripping off Avatar?" Because people will see the character Suimo, and he's a blind monk boy. He's like, "Are you ripping off Avatar?" And I was like, it's like, if you accuse me of ripping off anything, if you don't say Zatch Bell, you're wrong. I don't know. I don't know if you're familiar with Zatch Bell.
No, I really don't know too much about him.
That one was a series about these kids. They were little kids with powers. They come to our world. They have powers. They have a book. They have to find, and only one person can read their book. And in their book, there are spells, and they're all battling each other to determine who the Komodo King is.
So for me, I think I kind of got a little bit of Shaolin Showdown vibes.
Okay, you know what? That's the better thing, because everyone always says, "Oh, you're ripping off Aang." It's like, you know what? No. Omi's probably closer, but
yeah.
Suimo kind of went through a huge, because I've had Tamashi in my head since 2008.
Wow.
In fact, if you check Volume 1, let's go. Where is it? See, the original idea for Tamashi was drawn with a pen. The idea just came to me. I grabbed a pen, and as you can see, everyone is there. This is the original first sketch, and as you can see, I basically nailed Tamashi's design. First try. I've just been drawing her better.
So you're the writer and the artist on this, correct?
Yes, it's pretty much me and whoever I have spell check the chapters before they go live.
So what's that creative process look like for you when you're creating these pages?
Well, I think I heard one time the creator of Dragon Ball Z, Akira Toriyama, apparently he just went in. He just goes right into the comics. Like, I do have everything planned out. I have my famous, I call it the Word document. It's literally just this Word document that has every planned story arc listed with bullet points, and pretty much that's what I have been following. And aside from that, I kind of just jump right in. And just,
that is awesome.
And I have key moments that I at least have written down and jotted down. It's like, got to get to this. Make sure they say this. But aside from that, I just jump right in. And apparently that's what the guy who did Dragon Ball Z did.
Yeah. I mean, you have a remarkable amount of chapters and volumes out. How long do you intend to keep this story going for? Do you have like any game plan in mind, or are you going to keep writing until the idea stop coming?
Basically, the current plan is we're on part 1. And the plan is to finish part 1. And basically, and then what will happen is that when I finish part 1, there'll probably be like a kind of hiatus to help plan. And then part 2 is basically a time skip.
Okay.
It's like, do you know Naruto Shippuden?
Mm-hmm.
That's what Naruto did. They did Naruto, and then they did Naruto Shippuden. That's something like that. That's what I've been following, and I think currently part 1 we're like halfway, more than halfway.
So are we gonna see in that same vein, like this get more violent or more gory or more, more like bigger risk taking, like it was in Naruto? Like, because I mean, the beginning, don't get me wrong, like what was brutal, but you kind of grew with the series. You know what I mean? Like in the beginning, it wasn't nearly as violent as it felt as in the later parts, towards the end.
I guess you could say that. Yes, it'll get. I think I had that. So a lot of people was like, "Oh, is this for kids?" And it's like, yes, but the idea is the further you go, the more mature it's going to get.
I love that. That is so cool. When the characters grow with the audience, I think that's really cool. Is that hard to capture? Is that like hard to write and plan for?
I imagine the slow crawl of time just naturally helps with that. I think it's just like it just works out. You just have the right person reading your comic that just grows with it.
No, that's so cool.
I think that's what happened to me with like Samurai Jack. Samurai Jack did that. Samurai Jack, like it was like PG, and then they came back a 5th season, and it's like, oh, now we're PG-13. Now it's like now you're bleeding. Of course, characters bleed. Like chapter 1, like once we go through, you see, like everyone's like, "Oh, is this for little kids?" Like something gets cut in half.
Yeah, this character's like dragging his body.
Like it's always like, I think it was always like, you follow what like Don Bluth and I guess what the guy who does JoJo's Bizarre Adventure does. It's like, it's all okay as long as it's not a person.
Mm-hmm.
But then
or
you get
if it's a person, make sure it's just a really evil type of person, and no problems either.
unless you get those people are like, they value animals more. It's like, oh, that's worse. Like you get the type of people that are like, but that's what the thing I've read with JoJo's. It's like in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, if you're an animal, it's like, oh, are you safe? No. We'll get brutalized in JoJo's. A dog will get burned alive. Probably even worse.
Well, speaking of going over chapter 1, I think that is the perfect segue. Let's go ahead and pull it up and go through it together and take a look at, what it's all about. So,
yeah.
And then I'm going to put this in the link for everyone who's watching. Be sure to read this with us. And if you're able to share this on Facebook and Twitter, any sort of social media platform that you can share this on, definitely will help, get this word out here. Word of mouth is 100% free, and it's some of the most easiest ways of advertisement. So we are looking at chapter 1, A New World. And so I'm loving this character design. What was some of your influences when designing this character? I know you kind of had a rough sketch like a long time ago, but like when you initially drew her out, what was
I mean, let's just pull that sketch up again.
Let me I can actually.
This is the first picture of Tamashi ever drawn, and if you take a good look, you can basically see every detail is there. Her pigtails, the design of the I forget the lining of her dress.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 spikes for her eyelashes. Like I nailed even the shape of her nose. Basically, what has happened is I just draw better.
Okay.
Like
that works.
Designed a character, I liked it, and I have stuck with it ever since. Which is which I have plenty of characters that have not that have changed over time. Tamashi's the one that's just like, you were perfect from the get-go. Mm-hmm. I just had to catch up.
So we see her waking up, and there's a lot going on this page. I'm so proud of you, or why'd you say that? What's your problem? You're embarrassing me. What was some of your, reasoning for starting off this way?
So the idea is, once you there's literally further in the story, we finally get full context of what these are all mean. These are all important lines to her. Like basically, she's right now sleeping, and when you sleep, thoughts. Like I always have friends that are all like, "Oh, I am such a vivid dreamer," and then they go on a paragraph of like their dream, and it's like when I dream, I don't even remember what I dream. I just remember like blank, maybe a statement. Mm-hmm. Like I've even had friends that like argue with me. Don't describe that to me. You're gonna traumatize me. I'm gonna have terrible, terrible nightmares. And it's like, I when I fall asleep, I think I know I have stuff, but then it's like I wake up, it's like, oh, okay. This is kind of like that feeling, but luckily, see, the thing is, you're right now reading we're reading the 2nd edition of chapter 1.
Okay.
So I don't know where you can possibly find that. I think I might have purged it online at this point. I'm finding ways to make it available, but basically I drew chapter 1 as like a college project, and I drew the entire chapter, and then I sat on that for a bit, and then I fully continued the series after that. But as a result, due to the time jump of that, the entire series was like, it looked different.
I gotcha.
Chapter 1 stood out, so at some point it was like, I need to redraw it and need to attract new people. And so I did this little mini hiatus where it's like, I'm redrawing chapter 1 and it's going to completely replace it. And the cool thing is a bunch of stuff was able to retroactively be now put in so it lines up better.
Okay. No, that sounds like it worked out perfect for you. I love, we see her wake up and then age 10 likes cats. Like, it's perfect. Like,
one of my favorite things. It's kind of like, that's people call One Piece does that. People call it the Oda boxes. Every time a character is introduced, you see a little box with their name and maybe a factoid or something. Mine is always you get their name, you get their age, and a fun fact that has nothing to do with anything, or maybe it does.
And right here, she just wakes up in the middle of nowhere.
Very
see,
for me, a very iconic shot.
So, what? How is it iconic though? What's the importance of it?
Because when I do announcements, I use this old version of this shot of the "Where am I?"
Okay.
And of showing the forest. In fact, it's one of the one remnants. Anytime I announce a new book, I have a little thing in the background is always the old version of that page.
That's really cool.
See the trees, all the gates, and she's basically in the middle of nowhere.
And she has no idea where she is. And we see an ominous looking creature in the background. Hold on 1 second. Sometimes. There we go. Ominous looking creature in the background. Last year, remember, she was at a garden, and then this creature comes out of nowhere. What are we looking at? What type of creature is this? Is this based off of something that's real, or a combination of a creature you created?
I basically was like, what does a Japanese T-Rex look like? That's it. What would a Eastern, like, which dinosaurs did live in Japan, because it's not, it's like, that's the whole just idea behind these things. Also, fun fact, last I remember, I was at Rikugen Garden. That's a real place.
Okay.
That's a hint to tell you where she's from. Rikugen Garden is a real garden in Tokyo. Like, you can straight up look it up, you will find it.
So we see her getting chased, and this dude pops out of nowhere. Who's this guy? He's like a mysterious person. We really don't get a whole lot on him.
Yeah, who is he? That's at this point in time. Yes, what is going on? But that, if we go a little further, that is the Calm Warrior. He's a samurai.
Yeah, and,
what is his name? What's his meaning? But he clearly knows something, because in her mind, cuts the thing in half. So tells her, "Lunar Flash." What does that mean? And then we get Doom, which that's One Piece. One Piece does that. They do Doom.
I love the glare too.
They have a soundtrack in their comic. Suddenly, she is holding her head because she just heard that in her mind. And the Yama Beast is now, half of it is just laying on the ground. And
the Calm Warrior's nowhere to be found. Instead, there's a monk right here, wondering what she's doing. So I loved how you kind of like swapped out the two. Or I'm still left wondering if it was like a figment of my imagination too. Like, was that like a real person, or has yet to be determined?
I'm glad that I definitely did my job right.
So we see her follow this monk, and it turns out he is a real person, because right here he's hiding in the shadows.
And he likes to do this. We have a pan. He's hiding off he's hiding off somewhere, and
the bleeding half creature
been left there to rot now, to be discovered later. And here we see Tamashi is hesitant because, who are you? I don't know. No, but then it's like, what? Well, shoot. What other choice do I have?
So are all these characters on the right like all children that we're gonna see later on in the series?
Yes. Well, one of them is very important. These are the monks of the monk. Well, we will learn that later, but these are the monks of the Monk of the Mountain Temple, and here we have their names. They each get, admittedly, it's kind of squished, but I think when you look, you can see. You have Akira Nakahara, original print of this. Their name boxes I don't think were present, but I was like, and originally the only way you could find out their last names was if you bought a book, because there's character bios images, and that's where we have Akira Nakahara, Oda Yamadan. Oda, he is straight up named after Ichiro Oda. And
then Akira is probably a nod to Akira.
Akira, you're thinking you're on the right path, but it's a different Akira.
Okay.
From a different manga I like. His name is Akira. Shoot, it's the boy from Mysterious Girlfriend X.
Ah, you got me.
Tsubaki. But that's what he is named after. Sanyu is just, I like the name, but Fujishi is important. And Kazuki was just, he looks like a Kazuki, and Kazuki is my personal favorite to draw. He is my favorite of the month.
So, what makes him your favorite, though? Is it the hair?
He is just the funniest. His whole personality is like, I don't care. What's the point of any? He's like Eeyore.
Mm-hmm.
He's like anime Eeyore.
So we see right here, her mobile device is not working at all. He has no idea what it is. So we kind of get the idea that something might have happened. She's definitely not in a land that she's used to, but there might have been some sort of time traveling or some sort of vortex that, like, you know, switched time, because it's almost like she went back a couple thousand years.
It could be like that. What is going on? Also, fun fact, I just mentioned Mysterious Girlfriend X. Tamashi's wallpaper. That is a old Mysterious Girlfriend X fan art I drew.
Oh, okay. No, that is really cool. That's awesome.
Right there. That's also a hint to tell you when those are hints. Those are little hints of her situation back home as well. And then, yes, we meet Father Monk.
And then, go ahead.
His title is Father Monk. He does have a real name. You don't know it, but that's because of this temple. Your job is to get rid of your name and just be called Father Monk.
Mm-hmm. And right here we kind of see that she is not in Kansas anymore, for lack of better words, and he has no idea what Tokyo even means. So there's definitely something going on. And I love this interaction too, seeing these two like kind of build this exposition without doing like an exposition dump, like kind of like, oh, you know, he has a weird accent, and he's like, you know, what's going on? What's this Tokyo that you talk about?
And then she's like, this Toko. So here's the fact: there is a city in the ancient land called Toko. That's when she said Tokyo. That's what he thought she meant.
And I like Sumo like gets bashful around girls, so like naturally he's the one that has to do everything for her.
I tend to pronounce it Suimo.
Oh, Suimo?
Yes, it's Suimo. Suimo Takame, and actually I think he was way back, yes. His name box was back. It's been a while. You spend so much making new chapters. You gotta go back so you can connect everything.
That is so cool, and I like his ability as well. So right here we get to meet yet again another pretty ominous looking creature. Not too pleased that this one got chopped in half. I really liked the design of this. Is this like a mature take on the creature as well?
Yes, it's another, basically it's a Japanese T-Rex. So the first thing was a Yama Beast. This is a Yama Mama. The thing that was just killed was a baby. Mm-hmm. This is the mama, and the fun thing with Yama Beasts keep showing up whenever I need trouble, and Yama Beasts suffer a lot.
I gotcha. So now we kind of get to see these two interact, and I love seeing just his interactions with the girl and how you wrote him to be like, oh no, I'm training to be a man. Like I love like just his first like his character traits and everything.
And Tamashi being a little prissy, like, oh, whatever, being like, hey, oh, okay. New people are mean. So be mean back to them, however sense that makes.
So now we kind of get to see the rest of the classmates, but it's not for long because a Yama Beast approaches on the scene. But we find out that this is not just any regular Yama Beast. It is instead a Yama Mama. What are some of the differences between a Yama Mama? Is it just older and more mature?
Yes, they get a big, cool looking mane. They're bigger. They're much meaner, and they're tougher.
Yeah, they only attack when they're young or hurt, and he's wondering what the girl did. And then we kind of get this, we see this little spot right here where there's a voice inside her head, saying use lunar flash. So I really like this too, because she pulls it out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden it's a game changer. Everyone around her is like, oh crap, she's not just like some some like typical stranger. Like this is somewhat of importance.
Mm-hmm. We did the big epic action sequence with a flash. She's shooting moonlight from her right palm.
And right here, and there's no way she's a.
This little plush has it.
Oh, on the hand.
Yep, right here. I'm holding it.
And then yeah, right here. Hold on one second. My window. There we go. No way she's a child of the moon. So I love this introduction. And then right here was the end to chapter 1. So a nice little cliffhanger when she takes down this Yamamama, and all of a sudden we find out that she's not just some regular stranger. She's actually the child of the moon. So
she doesn't know how to do that, and we get a nice bookend. We opened in darkness. We end in darkness.
Cool. So
one of my favorite tropes. Something from the beginning comes back. That is one of my personal favorite tropes of all time.
No, that is awesome. So for everyone that is watching and listening, what type of platforms can they subscribe to you on? You said you had some platforms where they could read ahead if they're subscribed?
Yes, there you can pretty much read chapter 1 through 48 and all the side chapters and some bonus stuff as well. It's available on Tapastic, either I think Tapaz. I can never remember. It's also on Webtoon, but it's also there's also a site called Manga Cat. Their upload process is a little weird though, but that one's is in the process of being caught up. And of course, a big push is actually Global Comics, because Global Comics is rising. But the other way you can read Tamashi is if you just order the books as well.
How much are the books?
The books go for $12 each. They used to be $10, but due to stuff, I had to raise them a bit. So older volumes still say the $9.99, but volume 9 has the $11.99 now, which that'll be going forward. Actually, I think you said you had the covers.
Yeah, I had some of the covers on Image Slideshow. No, that is so awesome. Well, Ryan, I appreciate you stopping by and breaking this down with us and going through chapter 1. Do you have any other projects you're working on outside of this, or are you just trying to complete Act 1 as it stands?
I guess, yep, I am trying to complete Act 1. I'm trying to do some art on the side, go to events. I'm originally I'm from Western Mass, but in November I moved to California. So it's a very kind of flexible situation, but I'm attending shows in California, which I've been doing pretty well at, to where I sell books and try to advertise like, hey, support the series, buy a plushie. I have a thing of plushies. See, it's not just plushies. I have stickers, I have buttons, those are all on my personal store. I have art prints of stuff, and currently, the big thing is also working on Volume 10. I need 2 more chapters done. Volume 10 will be done.
Ooh, getting close.
And actually, speaking of that, I think I sent you something, but literally before this show started, I opened up a new project. I'm currently starting a hosting of an event. It's called the Tamashi Character Popularity Poll.
Okay.
I've been doing Tamashi for like 5 years, so we have a big catalog of all the characters, and I think I posted on the social medias, but it's literally just a straw poll of, hey, everyone that comes to this page, you get 5 votes. You get to vote who your favorite character is, and we're going to find out. That poll's going to close on October 7th, and once that's set, it's going to be in Volume 10 and be like, hey, who's the most popular character? Also,
that is cool.
I'm trying to raise funds to also make another plushie. We need a Suimo plushie.
Yeah, we have that image, the popularity contest. That is on the screen with a QR code. So does that QR code take them directly to the contest?
You scan it with your phone and just pick your characters. It's literally that easy.
That is so awesome. Ryan, I appreciate you coming on the show and breaking this down. Before we go, though, we always end strong because as much as this is a podcast to promote you and your book and your work, it's also a nice learning tool for anyone that might be watching and new. So with that in mind, for anyone that is starting out for the first time with either art or writing or anything in between, and they're struggling just to get started, what type of advice would you give them just to help them get motivated to go?
Well, I'm always dealing with the fact is like, am I even good enough to like teach people? But it's like the one definitive thing I always say is if you don't make it, it won't happen. It's whether or not you're good enough or you have the audience or whatever. If you don't make it, it will not happen. You're the one stopping it from going. No one else can really stop it. There may be obstacles, but at the end of the day, if you don't make it, it won't happen.
No, I like that. That is good, and that is 100% true. You are the one who ultimately determines whether or not this thing gets created. I like that. That is awesome. Ryan, once again, thank you so much for coming on and breaking this down. This has been an awesome conversation. For everyone watching, tomorrow is New Comic Book Day, so why not treat yourself to a new book and make sure it's this one. How can people buy this book?
Well, you can go to my personal store. I probably should have sent a thing there. But if you go to my Twitter, my social medias, there's a link tree. If you go to RyanMcCarthyProductions.com, there's a Tamashi section, and literally there's a section called Books, and that will bring you to everywhere. You can go on Amazon, Blurb, or my personal store. And that's the best way to support Tamashi. You buy books directly from me. I sign every book. You put a message in something like, hey, can you say this? But it's hosted by I think it's Store MV, but that's also where you can get prints, and there's key charms. In fact, there's a special offer where if you buy a Tamashi Volume 1 for a little extra more, you can get a Tamashi key charm as well with it.
Okay, yeah. So you heard it here, guys. Be sure to check it out and get a new book tomorrow. And with that being said, it is a beautiful Tuesday. I hope you guys have a fantastic night, but most importantly, keep it geekly.